Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Scrappy Tails, and we are going to do some colored pencil coloring. I'm going to show you the coloring for one of the images. So you can see I'm going to be making 2 cards. I am in love with the detail of the stamp set Tropical Birds, and the moment I saw it, it was colored pencils. However, I did sense a subliminal message that I had received from Sabrina. So, yes, I took the subliminal message, but I did. Color pencils are my medium of choice when it comes to coloring. They do take longer than your watercoloring or your alcohol markers, but I do enjoy the texture and the feel of them. So I've stamped my image, and I've used a black ink to stamp that image, and I've sped up the coloring, and I am going to show the entire coloring of this piece. Now I'm going to explain a little bit of the coloring, and then I am going to switch over to music, and then you'll be able to watch this. All the colors that I used are from the Prismacolor line. They are also my colored pencil of choice, the brand. I've been using Prismacolor since I've been a wee thing, many decades ago. But these are my go-tos. I love the texture of them, I love the creaminess of them, and I love the way that they blend. You're going to see me using many colors. Now, for each of the projects, I have created color cards, and they are going to be on my blog. So if you're interested in seeing the colors that I did choose, please head on over to the blog so that you can see those cards. Remember, with colored pencils, when you work with them, the paper that I'm using is the Strathmore Mixed Media White. I love the texture of this paper. It doesn't feel like it has texture, but it does. When you're using colored pencils, you want to make sure that you have tooth onto that paper so that it can grab the pigment from the pencil. No matter what pencil you're using, everything that I'm saying can be applied to any brand. Yes, even Crayolas. I love Crayola colored pencils. I think they're great. You don't want to fill the tooth in right off the bat. So using a light pressure. If you find that when you use colored pencils, you're just filling up that tooth, take your hand back along the barrel. Move it further away from the point of your pencil. Also, sharpen your pencils to a nice point. Sometimes our mind, I've got a point on this pencil, I don't want this point to break, will also help you to keep a light pressure so that you can continue to layer. You can see how bright this blue is, but I have such a light pressure putting down the color that you can still see the white coming through, especially when it comes to the macaw that I'm doing. I believe, what's called the Scarlet Macaw. Please, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is the Scarlet, where they have red and the yellow and the blue just coming down from them. They're absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous animals. But you can see now that I've got that base color of all 3, the red, the blue, or the red, the yellow, and the blue, I'm now coming in with the medium tones, and I'm just crossing over those colors. And you'll see that white in the paper, it's going to disappear somewhat because I'm filling in that tooth. Each time I come in with that pass of color, I'm putting more pressure, just a little bit, because I want to be able to continue to blend. These stamps in this stamp set are very helpful for a beginner because of the details that have been put into it. You will know this is where the shades need to be. This is where it needs to be darker. This is where there's no lines. That's where it's lighter. You can see I get this green because I'm taking a blue and a yellow and layering them. And I'm using the pencils themselves to burnish the colors together so that they blend. I don't like to use a Gamsol. I don't like to use that type of a solvent. I will use Zest It. To me, it just makes sense. It's less harsh, they say, and there is an odor to it. So I know if I keep that open. Gamsol, it is an odorless mineral spirit. That just kind of plays with my mind. You're not supposed to breathe it, but it's odorless, and you're using it. Okay, enough of that. So I like to use the pencils themselves to blend, or I will use the colorless blender in the Prismacolor line. Because again, it's a pencil. It's just got no pigment. It's a clear wax. Prismacolors are wax-based. The more layers you put on, you may have a shiny film. That's called bloom. Okay, that will happen as you continue to put your layers. But again, key point here, light pressure, continue to layer, and you will have beautiful, beautiful results. What I was excited about when it came to this stamp set is the hibiscus. I got to use one of the neon colors. Never used any of the neon colors. I got to use it, and it is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It just really sets that off. You will see that I also work. I put my light base down, and then I come to the next darkest, and then I pull in the next darkest, and then I pull in the next darkest, till I get to what a friend of mine has always referred to as the scary dark. If I'm using greens, I will use black or blue as that scary dark. If I'm using reds, I will use blue, black, brown, or purple as the scary dark. Don't be afraid to mix your colors to get that tone that you're looking for. Those are my tips and tricks. So right now I'm going to turn it over to music. And I almost forgot the other wing there. I'm going to turn it over to music, and you can continue to watch how I continue to build these colors and how I make those leaves different using the same colors for each leaf, just pulling from different angles. So I'll be right back. Hey, so I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it gave you some ideas, some tips and tricks on how you can use your colored pencils. So you can see this is what the two pieces look like. Again, I only showed one, and I went with the more colorful one so you could see more blending. There are coordinating dies for this stamp set, and it includes both the images and the sentiments, which is awesome. So I've taken some of my scraps cardstocks that, you know, I had either cut into or I had stamped on or whatever, and I used the solid die cut so that I could layer these up. These are detailed on the edges, so I didn't just want to prop them up with some foam squares or double-sided foam tape. I wanted them to be solid onto my card panel. So I'm doing that for both. So I have the top layer, and that's it's a very heavyweight 80-pound mixed media paper, which is awesome. And then I cut 3 more layers from just a regular cardstock. So they are nice and thick, chipboard-like. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in a couple stencils. I'm pulling in the zigzag and the chevron. And then I've also pulled some Distress Oxide inks. So for the cockatiel, which I believe that's what he's called. I apologize, bird lovers. I'm using saltwater taffy and twisted citron. So 2 great, beautiful, bright colors. And that's what I love about these pieces. They're so bright. I am usually not a, let me see how to phrase this, a bright color person. You know, those neon, those super, super bright colors. But when you're looking, when I see a tropical theme, it's what I see. I see light shades and just colors that blend together. For the zigzag, I am going to be using the Kitsch Flamingo. And I believe I am also, I have it written here, so sorry about the crinkles. Crinkle! I think it Twisted Citron again. So, and I have them on an angle. Now, you saw with the zigzag, I went from left to right, not up and down. Because again, it's a stencil and those pieces are going across, so it's completely open. So you just want to make sure that you take notice of that. To seal in the oxide, because I was impatient to wait to dries and I didn't want to smudge it, I just added some clear embossing powder. Now I have more of that effect on the zigzag stenciled background rather than the chevron. I have an overhead fan that runs, especially in the summertime, because with all of these lights and this equipment that runs in this room, it gets really hot. So I got to have that fan going, and I'm sorry because sometimes, and that's another reason why right now I'm just not using my glass mat, because it really does a number to the screen. But it dried the oxide. So having an overhead fan really does dry things quickly. Too quick that time, because I did like the glossy look in the back. I have backed the zigzag, the chevron or the zigzag panel with a bright pink matte. And then for the chevrons, I'm using a peachy coral color that matches the saltwater taffy. And then, of course, they are sitting on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch black mat. Bringing in my card bases. These are going to be standard A2 size card bases, and they're actually going to be side folding. 9 out of 10, I usually do a top folding. But these, I had some papers and I'm using up what I have. So I was able to cut those down into side folding cards. Using my ATG to put down my panels onto my card bases. And you can see I'm using these two, I'm doing these 2 cards and I'm still doing a production style. So when I do multiples, I do all of the same things at once. So I did all of my stamping, and then I did all of my coloring, and I did all of the die cutting and gluing onto the backs to make them chipboards, and then all of the stenciling and so on, as you can see in this video. I don't need to recap for you. I am going to use some acrylic blocks to put pressure down onto these pieces so that they do adhere, especially with that one that did have an embossing that I did add some embossing texture to the back there. It doesn't take long for that to dry. I took care of my sentiments at the same time. Now my sentiments I stamped in VersaFine black ink, and I did use clear embossing powder over those so that they would be shiny as well. I did that off camera there. I'm going to set them so that they sit onto the stamped and colored image, because I didn't want to cover up the backgrounds too much. I'm going to come in with some black gems. Again, I've got this black mat in the background. My sentiment is stamped in black. My images are also stamped in a black, but when I stamped them, I used my Simon Says Intense Black because it's actually fading out. So when I use my colored pencils, I very rarely use a bold black stamp. I'll make it either no line coloring, or I'll make it like a gray, so that it's soft. I want the colors to come through, but I'm okay having that faint black. So I really wish my Simon Says stamp Intense Black would stay that color. It's a soft black. It's not a pitch black, and I think it is perfect if I do want to see those black lines. So, and some can say, you know, well, you could do a second generation stamp. I could, but would it be even? Would it be that consistent line? Because even if I stamp twice with the Simon Says, it still stays this soft black. It's not a harsh pitch black that we all like for our sentiments. So, just a little ramble there. These are our 2 cards. So I hope you enjoyed these. These are beautiful stamps, awesome details to help that beginning color, whether you are using colored pencils or using alcohol or even watercolors. These are a great set for you to follow to help know where your shades go and so forth. Again, my color cards are going to be sitting on the blog if you're interested in the colors that I used for these cards, and I hope you enjoyed the tips and the tricks that I explained and showed within the coloring period that I kept in to this video. Enjoy, guys, please, and if you haven't yet, please take the time to subscribe, hit that button, make sure you hit that bell too so that you're notified when the next video is live. I'd love to have you here in the group. Enjoy your time when you're creating, and always know you are creating art. Whether you want to believe it or not, you are creating art. And always remember, be creative. And I'll talk to you in the next one, guys. Till then.